That long barrow is part of Neolithic culture, and the barrows we saw right at the beginning of this are Neolithic long barrows are long, and Bronze Age round barrows are round, and so the Neolithic culture was before the Bronze Age, and it was sort of around about 4000 BC, something like that. This they seem to show. They obviously show ownership of the locality. There's always at least one in each sort of unit of landscape. And according to, I think it might have been Grinsell, this one is halfway between the causeway enclosures, which are also Neolithic, which are sort of round encampments where things were buried in little. The circular ditches were broken into pieces, and things deposited there, ritual items probably. And so there was causeway enclosure in Abingdon, apparently. I've never heard of it, but apparently there is. And also one down in Windmill Hill, which I know all about, which is down in Marlborough, Avebury. And this long barrow is halfway between the two. Whether that means anything or not, I don't know, but they did mention it. I think these places are lovely. I give myself 1 out of 10. The objective was to found it, try and learn something from it. Didn't really. Found a sarsen, so I'd go up to 2, but it's mostly obliterated. I can't really show you what it's for, why it's here. Its form, its beauty, its nature, and I can't really do that. So let's move on. Let's go and see if we can find some Roman. But before we do that, let's show you what they did find, which is in the investigation report. I'm doing my trade union stuff now. The excavation report. I never stopped talking about investigation reports. The excavation report. The excavation seems to have been led by J.J. Weimer, and he found, or she found, some flints. A burial. There does seem to, in the 19th century, have been an excavation where there was human remains removed. They were poorly done, but in the 1960s they found a secondary burial. So in the side of the long barrow there was a contracted body with the sort of knees up to the chest, sort of burial arrangement, and with it some shells. Decorated shells. There were flints found in the ditches either side, and pottery as well. There's even one shard of Romano British, but that's obviously not contemporary. That was in the higher levels. But there was some flint pieces right at the bottom of the ditch, and some nice flint pieces later in sections of the profile that were later, including a Bronze Age Tang's arrow head, pressure flaked. It looks like from the drawing, and it is an interesting site, but it has been obliterated by poor excavation and a road going right through the middle of it. So that hill far in the distance is Chrames Hill, which means Hill of the Ravens, and it's a Bronze Age settlement, fort, whatever. Very, very close to Uffington Castle, which is over there. There's a slight trace of it. It's a ploughed landscape, very slight. You can see it on a winter's day with the sun low in the horizon, but not much else the rest of the time. And that's now called Ram's Hill. Ramis means raven. Horamis means raven, but that meant nothing in Middle English, where they heard the word rams and said it was ram. So anyway, just thought I'd point that out. And we're heading towards the ridge, on the other side of which is Whitecombe, Whitcombe in Old English. And then we're off to Knighton, try some woods or something like that. See if we can find some Roman pottery. Up there is Idlebush Barrow, and there's 3 barrows I think up there. They're very pretty, but I'm not going that direction. I'm heading that direction. I mean, it's hard to tell how much light I've got left, but that was what I'm saying is there are plenty of antiquities around here. If you're interested, it's worth coming up for a walk, and you can come here several times and see something different each time and go off in different directions. I'm very, very fond of this area. These are, this is Knighton bushes behind me, and these are Anglo-Saxon marker stones. I think they've moved since the last time I've seen them. It looks somebody's been excavating in there, but there's a lot of rocks here, probably off the fields, and you can see running down this dike here to the edge of the path. There's a small dike, and you can see every now and again there's a bald patch, and you can see it's been loaded up with big rocks. So there was a settlement right here, and we're minor British. We can tell that by the pottery. So maybe it was the walls of the settlement that made up the dike. But on the Anglo-Saxon, there's a boundary that goes down here. And it talks about, and it gives names to 1 or 2 stones that act as boundary markers, and I've forgotten them. It's been a while since I've come down here, but that's them there, and they're bloody enormous. The conditions are really, really bad for finding pottery. I'm looking for little grey squares, little grey shards against a backdrop of grey, while the sky is grey and there's frost everywhere. So yeah, achieved nothing. So that's 1 out of 10 for this bit as well. So that's an average for the entire expedition of 1 out of 10. The only thing that'll save this shambles of a video is if I catch some hares boxing, or some deer not being able to work out what a human being is and running towards me. Something like that, that'll be great. But otherwise, that's the end of it. 1 out of 10. I hope you come back and watch the next one, but don't blame me if you don't. Oh, look, you can see Uffington from here. Let me show you.